this topic, we'll talk about cross-database dependencies. One of the issues that happens in today's modern applications platforms is that we often link two databases together through internal database code that allows each platform to query the other, manipulate data, work within the server process without requiring any application code to exist or any application process. This database-to-database communication is efficient, quick, it's built into the platforms, and it's often a preferred method of extending an application's capabilities when data is stored in two or more systems. Certainly, these cross-database linkages are easier and simpler to maintain than having ETL packages or some intermediate application code or process that has to exist to move the data around. These cross-database dependencies can be implemented in a few ways. The simplest of these is a server connection to another database. It appears like another client to the database, but it can query, it can access code in one database, query those objects, pull that data back. These connections are often easiest to deal with in a DevOps world where one of the other databases is changing. Because just as with dark launching, we can use views, we can use additional programmatic modules such as stored procedures, some other technique to insulate one database from the changes in the other. And certainly for database developers, it's easier to coordinate sometimes than changes in the application. More tightly coupled links between databases include things like cross-database queries in SQL Server, where we have 3 or 4-part naming. These types of queries make upgrades, changes to one or the other side of the objects very difficult because the dependent queries can change, but we have to then go to many places in the code to actually change that. And since these queries can be embedded in application code, then we've got to change it in the application as well and coordinate with another development group. The DevOps solution here is to not try and upgrade everything at once. It's just too hard to do it and too hard to coordinate. What we want to do is use rapid releases, use those DevOps principles of releasing often with small changes to slowly decouple our objects over time. We might use something like a synonym in a database to implement an abstraction between an object that exists in another database. And that can serve as a bridge until we can change all of our embedded queries. If we change one object linkage or one query in our application every week, over time, all these tight dependencies will be removed, and eventually, we'd be able to independently develop and evolve the application or evolve the database. This may not work in all scenarios. There's many times I find that there are actually circular dependencies between the databases that are not easily removed. And many of the tools that might help us manage change in a state-based world especially don't even work in these situations because they can't resolve circular dependencies. Often what we need to do is, again, think through, plan out custom code, and slowly remove these dependencies over time and try to avoid the circular nature of them by using some abstractions. DevOps doesn't try to find large, complex, complete solutions to problems, but encourage us to make small changes over time, knowing that they will add up, knowing that they're the least disruptive way to slowly decouple our cross-database dependencies and allow our development to proceed in a smooth manner. And eventually, we'll be in a place where we're not tightly coupled and we don't have those dependencies, and it's much easier to perform database development.